Welcome to Building My Legacy podcast. This podcast is designed for leaders and entrepreneurs who want to leave a legacy and will provide strategies that focus upon key elements for legacy creation, determining your desired impact and its benefit, increasing your legacy's reach by engaging key stakeholders, planning, prioritizing, and executing. Here's your host, Dr. Lois Sonstegard.
Welcome, everybody, to today's Building My Legacy podcast. I have with me today Shayne Hillier and Matt Cramer. They are marketing and real estate people. So a nice blend of two disciplines that are rather important for any of our success in business, at least the marketing. And then there's many of you who are looking for what's next in your life, and real estate may be part of that. They also have a real estate marketing and conversion academy. So important. The whole concept of marketing and conversion is certainly important today as we do more and more things online. So having said that, Shayne and Matt, how did the two of you get together, and what is it that you do that you would like the audience to know about?
I'll let Shayne do that one.
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you so much, Lois, for having us on the show today. We appreciate it. So Matt and I, we go back maybe 3 years ago. It was kind of interesting as well. I mean, I was starting up a new business. I'd grown it to a significant size, and it was focused specifically on helping real estate agents, real estate brokers grow their businesses from a marketing standpoint. And as we're doing this, I start realizing that the conversion side, essentially, when you're generating new customers, new leads, prospects, one of the big challenges that we were running into was that these customers were having a hard time to take a cold audience or cold leads and then convert those into actual customers, and at the end of the day, a transaction which generates them their revenues. So I ended up building a team to help me convert those. So cold callers and inside sales agents. And I was having a hard time with that. Matt comes from a real estate background, built a huge team. And so him and I just connected on Facebook. And actually, Matt did all of our training for our inside sales agents. And then we just started talking, and we decided to grow the Real Estate Marketing Conversion Academy to help other agents, brokers, build their own businesses, and so that they can learn the marketing side of it. And that's kind of how Matt and I came together.
What's interesting is that you use the internet to connect and to establish the relationship. And I think that is such a new way of people to form collaborative partnerships. And yet I think it's going to emerge more and more as we go down the road, especially coming out of our COVID world. So tell me, where did you meet online? How did you begin to determine that you were the right candidates for establishing this academy together? Because collaboration partnerships require a certain amount of trust. So how did you go about doing that?
Well, we started slow, right? We basically had started talking from a Facebook group that we were both a part of. We started talking back and forth about, real estate and about lead conversion. I was helping Shayne with his team to help their numbers basically improve. And as we were talking, we decided, what, we're talking so often, like, let's put a Facebook group together, like our own Facebook group that we run. And so we started that, and we started adding some people to it, and it started growing. And we were basically just putting out all sorts of information of what we were experiencing, what we were going through, what was working, what was not working. And people were attracted to that. So they started coming in and joining the group and engaging with us. And Shayne and I were still talking. Basically every Thursday night, my wife was going out to karaoke with her friends. And I think, Shayne, you said your wife was typically doing showings and whatnot. And so we ended up on the phone on Thursday nights. And I'm like, what if we just turn this into a live stream in the group? And so we did that. And we started live streaming in the group, talking about, whatever we were having those conversations on. And as we did that, we built more of a relationship, built more trust. And somewhere down the road, I forget exactly where it was, but we decided like, let's put out some training, right? Because we have a lot of people coming to us asking questions all the time. A lot of them are the same questions over and over. Let's put out some training. And we started with one small project, and that went really well. And we did it again, and that went really well. And I think about a month or two after those first two projects, we said, let's put, something big together. And that's where the Academy was born.
So physically, where are you both located? Canada? Is that correct?
Yep.
Both.
Yeah, so I'm in Toronto.
Mm-hmm. And I'm in Southeast Michigan.
Okay. So,
and the interesting part, so Matt and I have only met once over the past 3 years, which is even more interesting. And I find, it's a very interesting thing that you can do now just with the internet and online and build these relationships and partnerships. And I think that, Matt and I may just be unique. And as you mentioned, it does take a lot of trust and a lot of confidence in the person that you're working with. But for whatever reason, with both of us, it's just worked, right? So we do still work on separate projects. So, Matt's got his own things. I've got my own thing. We have a very, we have an arrangement for the Academy in this specific business, where we share everything. And it's just, I think that both of us are probably just unique in the way that, we can trust each other. So, and it's worked well so far.
So tell me, trust has become, I think, a more difficult thing to assess, perhaps because of hype, because of how we spin things, especially on the internet. One of the things that I'm finding is there are a lot of people, you don't even bother to read the email. The email headline may be an interrupt, but I know, okay, this is just a spin, skip it, right? There's no substance, no depth, no whatever. And I think there's getting to be more and more of that sense. But how did you know that you could trust one another to do this collaborative effort together?
Yeah. So, for me in those initial projects, we were splitting the work up. I was doing what I was told to do or what I wanted to do and what I said I was going to do, however you want to word that. Basically, we'd agreed on who was doing what. And with the first project, it got done, It got done. And then we did it again. And we agreed on what was going to get done, and it got done, And so as time's gone on, and we've both gotten busier, we've built a bigger program now. There are times where maybe I don't get something done right on the first time, or Shayne doesn't get it done right on the first time, but there's communication has really been a big key, right? So I think in the beginning, we were just both doing everything we could to make sure we're pulling our weight. And then as time's gone on, it's been more about communication, right? And just being honest, I don't really want to go this route with this program. I don't really want to go in that direction. I really think it's important we dive in here. I really think it's important we add this program or add this feature to the program, like comedic improv. And so it's really common in that world that you pick up whatever ideas people are giving you and you have to run with them, right? And so I think that's something that comes into business as well, is when somebody's bringing you an idea, just because you don't like it initially doesn't mean you can just shut it down. You've got to hear it out. You've got to see, okay, what does this look like? Well, if we do this, then what else happens? What are the different steps with all of that? If that makes sense.
Yeah. How about for you, Shayne?
Yeah, I think that, so I've worked with a lot of partners, and just over the years, and more than I can count. And it's challenging. It's really, really hard to work with partners. And I think that really starts with you, So, one of the things that working with Matt, what I told myself was that I need to make sure that I don't I hear him out, right? Like it's about me and it's not about Matt. So I need to set different expectations for myself. I need to be able to, make sure that I listen to him, and that, if he has an idea, then I have to review that idea. And then, again, it comes back with me, right? So my expectation working with Matt, if he's not getting things done, and because I want, it's a selfish reason, right? If Matt's not doing something that I want, then I need to reset my expectations about what he can do and what he can't do. And then, just go ahead and either if he's not doing something that I want to implement it, then I need to implement it or figure out why he's not doing it. So the partnership with Matt's been a really, really good one compared to everything else that I've done in my life. And I think it's just because I've reset my expectations about what the partnership needs to look like and what my partners need to do.
So part of what I'm hearing from both of you is clarity of communication. You've gotten really clear about what it is that you want and don't want for yourself, so you can bring that back and openly talk about it. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the other thing I'm hearing is you don't spend much time blaming the other person if something doesn't get done. You hold yourself accountable for what's happening and figure out why it's not working.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's been times where we've gone to do something, and then, maybe I'm not doing something or Shayne's not doing something. We go back and we're like, okay, look, we said we wanted to do this, but, either of us or neither of us or whatever it is hasn't pushed this forward. Do we really want to do it, or did it just seem like a good idea at the time? And we'll reassess. Because sometimes there are, great ideas that you come up with at 10 o'clock at night while you're, having a glass of wine and talking together. So next day or 2 weeks later, it's like, well, maybe that wasn't the greatest idea. And that's why we haven't gone into it or dove into it with full commitment. So that clarity, the expectations, and really just clear communication.
So I want to just shift a little bit for a moment and talk about lead generation and conversion, because that's really what your academy is about for real estate people. And really, lead generation and conversion is important in any discipline, any industry, any field, right? And it is the number one thing I hear everybody struggle with. I just can't get the leads I need. I just can't convert them into a client. So tell me, what are your keys? How have you boiled this down so that people can implement and be successful? Because you've grown companies, 200 million in terms of closed volume for real estate professionals, 2019 alone. Matt, you did 50 million. So that's impressive. So how have you gone about doing that? And how do you let's start with leads, and then we'll go to conversion. So what are the number one mistakes people make in finding leads? Let's start there.
Yeah, no worries. So as far as finding leads goes, your leads are out there, right? You really have to define what your audience is, who you're trying to reach. And for us working in real estate, we know that we're looking for home buyers and home sellers, right? And so basically we have ads and whatnot that we put out. We send those out in front of the people. That's where that 50 million is from, those 50 million impressions that people have seen those. They see those, they click those, they enter their information and become a lead. From there, it's just the beginning, right? This is just somebody raising their hand. That's all of that is. A lot of people look at a lead and they think, oh, cool, I'm going to close that. Well, maybe, but maybe that's not the one you're going to close, right? They're just people. Each lead is a person. It's not just a name and a number. It's an actual person who has a life, and they have problems, and they have things that are going great, and they have, things they have to overcome to buy a house or to sell a house. And maybe that's financial, and maybe it's time commitment. Maybe it's, you never know. There's so many things that a lead is. It's not just a lead. And so once you acquire the lead, now starts the conversion piece, right? You have to communicate with them. You have to get in touch with them. People expect instant results. Especially the person who has just put their information in to find out more about a specific house or a type of home or a new construction offer, whatever it is. They expect really quick responses. I can have groceries here in 3 hours. I can have food from anywhere within 10 miles pretty much delivered in the next half an hour. So when somebody enters their information, if they're not hearing back from a real estate agent in like 3 minutes or less, that's typically our goal. If they're not hearing back, they're going to forget about it. Not only that, but on Facebook, the moment that they become a lead for you, Facebook recognizes that that person's interested in the offer that you put out. And so anybody else who's also putting out ads and offers is now going to start seeing that lead come into their funnel, or that lead is at least going to see their ads, and they may enter into other funnels or other people's databases. So, I mean, that's kind of where it all starts, is getting the communication started.
So what I hear you say is it's that speed of response that is huge, and that response time is getting shorter and shorter as we do more things online. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, think, if you go on to get an insurance quote and they give you all the information and then you fill everything out, and at the end it says, perfect, someone will be in touch. I mean, how disappointing is that? Because you're waiting for that number. Like, what's my insurance rate going to be? What's this going to be? And then all of a sudden it's like, someone will be in touch. It's like, oh, okay. And then if you don't hear from somebody in the next 3 to 5 minutes, it's like, well, all right, I've got to go do something else. I've got other things to do today. I was hoping to get an answer right away. I didn't get it. No one's called me right away. I'm off doing other things.
So leads we used to generate largely by networking. It was also by direct response, mail, whatever, telephone at times. Are you still using those approaches, or are you primarily online at the moment?
So our program teaches the online approach. It's not that the other approaches don't work. Some of them are not as cost effective or as time effective as they once were. So that's why we typically recommend online lead generation, and that's what we teach.
And I also think from a scalability, from the perspective of being able to scale your business, obviously the paid advertising is really where to go, right? And all of every other method still works. And in fact, we still do quite a bit of, the offline sort of methods. We teach it as well. So we teach, how to network how to network to get clients, how to organically get clients from, Facebook, Instagram, and some of the other platforms. But the reality is, if you want to start scaling your business, the paid advertising side, where you're generating leads, you're following up with those leads, is where you need to start looking into.
So talking about that, Shayne, as you start investing in advertising, online advertising, Facebook, Google, you use Google too, do you?
Yeah.
What kind of budget should a company realistically look at as a percentage of do you do it as a percentage of revenue? Do you use it as a percentage of anything? Or how do you determine what that budget size should be?
I think so. The way we do it, and this, of course, because we're working in the real estate industry, it's going to be different than a lot of other industries. The lifetime value of the customers are typically, are very large compared to, another type of business. So what we typically do is we have calculators that calculate the actual return on the investment, right? So if I'm going to put this amount of money into my online advertising, and that's going to be my budget, and we use, industry standard conversion rates, then we can look at, okay, if I'm spending this amount of money, so whether it's $1,000 to generate, 100 prospects, how many of those prospects are going to convert, and what is the average lifetime value of one of those customers, right? Because then we can identify, well, is it worth it or not? And the other reason why we do this is because it gets really exciting. The numbers, like when you start understanding your numbers, it starts to get really exciting and starts to make a lot more sense than just blindly going out and saying, you know what, I've got an extra $5,000 this month, I'm going to dump it into paid ads, right? So instead of doing that, start looking at, okay, what's that $5,000 going to turn into? And then you can start, measuring those KPIs, and you can start measuring the ROI. And it's just a little bit more, it just gives you a better overall picture and sets the right expectations at the same time.
So as somebody approaches going online and doing advertising to generate their leads, what advice do you have in terms of 1, 2, 3 things they should think about checklist that they should have in their head about what they do and how they approach it?
Yeah, so I think the number one thing, and I think a lot of people, miss the mark on this, is specifically. So we do a lot of Facebook advertising. That's like our primary channel. One of the things that you really want to focus on is creating, irresistible offers. Because what you're trying to do here is you're trying to attract somebody to actually click on your ad, input their information, so that you can take that information, put in your database, start following up those people. And I think a lot of people miss that, right? So, even in the real estate industry, what we're doing is we're trying to put together offers that are specific to those real estate agents or those brokers. And those offers typically are a irresistible offer that, gets somebody to stop scrolling and then click on that ad. And so that's, definitely one of the things that I would suggest for anybody is to, really look at what your offer is and then try to build an offer that somebody just can't say no to. And then put that in front of your audience.
So Shayne, there are a lot of offers out there, and people talk about what is an irresistible offer. How do you define it, and what does a good irresistible offer look like?
Well, I think the easiest way to get an irresistible offer is to survey your existing customer base, so you can understand what they're looking for. And if you do that, then there's a lot of information that you can pull from that. And then the other part of it too is, and this is the beauty of online marketing, is that unlike billboards and newspapers and just sort of the traditional marketing, with online marketing, you can change things instantly, right? So you can allocate a budget to a specific type of campaign that you want to run. And then if that's not working, you can switch it up almost immediately without any additional cost other than the advertising you've already spent, right? So one of the things that we see a lot, especially in the real estate industry, is that people will spend $300 and then essentially blame the platform, and it's like, this doesn't work, I'm moving on to something else. Well, that $300 actually worked. It worked to tell you that whatever you put together didn't work, right? That was your testing phase. So try something new. And a lot of people, I think that's a big mistake that people make, is they don't keep trying, right? And they don't keep testing out the offers. But the easiest way to put together an irresistible offer is essentially survey your existing client base, figure out what they're looking for and what they want, why they came to you, and then put an offer together for a new audience, and ask your customers, if I were to put this in front of you, would you buy this? And then you can just start testing it. Matt might have some other ideas, but that's essentially what we did.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's exactly it. If you get the words that they're giving you, describing their pain and what they want to solve it, and then you say it back in those words, it's pretty hard to resist.
And you see this a lot in other, in all kinds of industries. I mean, the term loss leader, I mean, it's been used forever, right? We used to do this, like years ago. I worked for a furniture store, and we took the back page of our local newspaper, and the entire back page was all loss leaders. And of course, the idea is that, somebody sees a loss leader, that's the irresistible offer, and they're attracted by that. So they come into the store, and the whole point of getting them into the store is to not let them buy the loss leaders, is to upgrade them into something else that is more profitable, right? And so the same idea and the same methodology should be used for online advertising, is that you put your loss leaders out there into the market. And then when you capture that your prospects' information, now you're trying to get them into something else, right?
So with your Entrepreneurial Academy for real estate, your marketing conversion academy, who is it? Real estate comes to you. It's real estate agents. Is that correct?
So it could be real estate agents. The other one that is probably our primary client who comes to us for the academy is somebody who's starting an online marketing business. They want to start a digital marketing agency where basically they're going to provide services to real estate agents. There's a lot of different services you could provide to different types of people out there, but this is specifically niche down, whatever you want to say, to providing this service for real estate agents and building a business around that.
Got it. So you've done a marvelous job of capturing that market. And so I want to go back to our leads. we've got our lead. How do you go about converting them?
You call them.
Okay, so you're back to the old-fashioned system. You call, literally.
Well, yeah, and you'd be surprised on how many people don't call their leads. It's unreal, and they're relying on email or they're relying on text messages. And the other thing that we see a lot is that people are making one phone call, and that's it, right? Again, as Matt said earlier, you need to treat your leads as people. Remember, and try to put yourself in your leads' shoes. Like when you opt into something on Facebook or you see an advertising, on any other channel, and you put in your information, what's the next thing you do? You get distracted and you do something else, right? So I think that, one of the biggest problems that we see in our industry is the follow-up, right? So not having a proper system in place to take in your leads, not having a proper CRM system, and then not having a proper follow-up strategy with those leads. And the other thing too, that to remember is not everybody's ready to buy what you have to sell right now. And that's just the reality of this, right? So you need to stay in front of them. So that means, more emails, it means more text messages, it means more phone calls, and then also making sure you're dialing in your scripts. You need, our clients need to use, we teach the conversion, that the calls and what to say and all of that. And to also dial in the systems that they need that keeps them on track on following up with their leads.
Okay, our time is almost up. What have we omitted in this discussion that you think is really important for people to know so that they can be successful? And then we're going to also include information about you and your academy and show notes. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, you froze there, so we missed all that.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So
no worries.
What is it that we've missed in our discussion that you would like people to know about, and that would pick up the phone or get them to email you and ask for further information? What is it we've missed?
I don't think we've really missed very much. We've
I think the only, so I think that maybe the only thing is that, if, a lot of people are looking to get into the online industry, right? The number one thing I wanted to do is I didn't want to go to an office anymore. I wanted to find something that I can do online, and or even just as a side hustle, right? There's a lot of opportunity out there that, and this is probably one of the greatest times anybody can actually start a business with very, very little cost. So, if the real estate industry is appealing to you, and if you're looking to start an online business, this is exactly what we do. We teach people how to start an agency, a marketing agency, to work specifically in the real estate industry. Or if you're somebody that's looking to get into the real estate industry, we teach real estate agents how to generate their own prospects and how to follow up with those prospects to grow their businesses. So, we'd be happy to answer any questions about that. You can reach us online on Facebook through either our groups or just, messaging us directly on Facebook. And we're always happy to, talk to people about this.
Super. You, Matt, anything we've missed that you think we need to have covered?
The only thing I would say is if you guys have more questions and you want to kind of see a training that we put together that explains this kind of in depth, we do have a training available. I believe you said you're going to put the link in the show notes. Otherwise, it's go.remcacademy.com.
Super. So we'll have that in the show notes so people can get in contact with you.
Perfect.
And yeah. And thank you so much for being with us. And thank you for being with us on Building My Legacy podcast. We appreciate your listening to us and appreciate any feedback that you might have for us as well. So have a wonderful day.
You've been listening to Building My Legacy podcast with Dr. Lois Sonstegard. To book your appointment with Dr. Sonstegard, visit www.buildtomorrow.com.